Alrighty, my love buggies. So for today's lesson, we are going to be looking at impressions. Impressions are an idea that is found in paleontology, and paleontologists, they use impressions in order to study plants, trees, people back then, people back then, animals, rocks. There's so many things that impressions can tell us. Impressions give a ton of information about what life was like back then and possibly how like an animal died or how a tree died. There is so much information in an impression. So we're going to be looking at impressions, and the first thing we're going to be doing with that impression is we are going to be looking at impressions, making observations or noticing something about those impressions. The second thing we're going to do is make inferences. And inferences is a new word we haven't learned yet. Inferences, everyone say inferences. Good job. Inferences is an idea that might possibly be true based on everything that you see and based on what makes sense. So that's what inference is. And you can only make inferences if you have observations. So that's going to be tricky to do. Inferences are going to be tricky to do if you don't have observations. So let's practice making observations of impressions first, and then we'll make inferences afterwards. If you take a look here, I brought to you two pictures. I also gave to you the definition of what impression is. So an impression is a mark made by pressing. In this photo here, the first thing I noticed, or my first observation, is that there are 3 impressions. 1, 2, 3. My second observation, or my second noticing, is that the area is, or like the background is kind of like white and fluffy. Those are my 2 noticings. If I want to be advanced, I can think of another noticing or another observation. My other observation is that each impression looks the same, and it looks like they have about 3 parts to it, 1 in the middle and then 2 on the side, and they all kind of look sharp. That's my third observation. Now I'm going to show you and model to you what an inference is. Based on those 3 things that I told you that I noticed, my inference is that this might be a chicken, or like a chicken or a bird maybe. I'm not sure if it's a chicken, maybe a bird, some kind of bird that's traveling up and is in snow. That is my inference, because if you think about it, my observations were that the background was kind of white and fluffy, and the thing that I know that's white and fluffy is snow. And I know that snow is also soft, so that if you kind of like press into it, you can see what you pressed into. My second, and then moreover, let's see. So I noticed, and I said this before, the 3 parts are kind of sharp. So there might be like talons or like claws. And I know that I've seen like birds at the park, and I have chickens at home too. So I know that birds and chickens, they have claws, and they also kind of like are really, really small. Their feet are kind of skinny and small. So that's why my inference is that maybe it's a chicken or a bird walking in the snow. I'll go ahead and write that down to show you all. Once you are in your purple notebook, your paper should be super similar to mine. So again, we are going to start with our observations, and mine was the photo of the snow. Yours is going to be the sand picture, or maybe the dirt picture. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I noticed there are 3 impressions . 3 impressions. 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 3 they have 3 parts and they all look sharp and thin. My second noticing, I also noticed was that the background was white and fluffy. So because I know these, because I have these 2 noticings or these 2 observations, my inference or my idea is that maybe a bird or chicken is traveling up in snow. Now, let me see. I'm trying to fix that light, you guys. Sorry. There we go. So my inference is that maybe a bird or chicken is traveling up in snow. I think this because I remember birds have talons, have sharp talons or claws. That are skinny. I think it is walking in snow because snow is soft and white, so it is easy to press into it. Okay, so I would like for your work to be this detailed. Mr. Neil can again pause this video after you let the rest of the video go. I need you to watch the next part of the video, because the next part of the video is going to tell you again or remind you again which photo you are going to be observing and making inferences about. This is my example. You are not to copy this. You are to write your own about your own photo. Now it's your turn to make 2 observations or noticings and then make inferences. Let's go ahead and take a look at what your work will look like. So in your purple writing notebook, you will need to look for this page. I have to let Mr. Neil know which page this is. So at this time that I'm recording the video, I don't know what page it is. So please be patient with me as I let Mr. Neil know. Let's see. Okay, so you'll notice that you have number 1 and 2. These are your 2 noticings. They already wrote I notice, and this is where your 2 observations will go. They're going to be on the top of the page. Oh, it's page 6. Whoops. And then the second part is you have to write down your inference and you have to explain why you think that. And I've already showed you how to do it. So if you forgot, we'll go ahead and have Mr. Neil just go back to my writing part, and so that you can see what it is that you really need to show in your writing. Remember, and this is going to be on the bottom part of the page. Remember that you are doing this photo. You're doing the sand photo, not this photo. You're doing this photo. Everyone go ahead and pause. Point to the photo that we're working on. or that you are writing about? Great job. It's going to be this one. When you are done with your writing, you are to close it and put it inside your desk. As always, you know that when you're finished with your work, you have plenty of work in your folder to do that is not finished.